Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Brajajanaranjana Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Brajajanaranjana Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Jamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Jaya Radha Shama Sundar Radha Shama Sundar Radhe Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Nitai Gaura Haribo 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo Nitai Gaura Haribo 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo Shri Radha Madhav ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, और भक्त वृंद की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय Okay, so we will be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 1, Text 3. Canto 1, Chapter 1, Text 3. So this is a very famous verse of the Bhagavatam describing the glories of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And there's a particular specific, you could say, connection with the Bhagavatam of this verse that we'll discuss. So I'll recite the verse. Nigamakalpataror phalam Shukamakhad amrita dravya samyutam Pibata bhagavatam rasamalayam Muhuraho rasika bhuvi bhavuka Nigamakalpataror phalam Shukamukhad amrita dravya samyutam Pibata bhagavatam rasamalayam Muhuraho rasika bhuvi bhavuka. Nigama, the Vedic literatures. Kalpataror, desire tree. The desire tree. Galitam, fully matured. Phalam, fruit. Shukha, Srila Shukadev Goswami, the original speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam. Mukhat, from the lips of Amrita, nectar. Drava, semi-solid and soft and therefore easily swallowable. Samyutam, perfect in all respects. Pibata, do relish it. Bhagavatam, the book dealing in the science of the eternal relation with the Lord. Rasam, juice, that which is relishable. Alayam, until liberation, or even in a liberated condition. Muhu, always. Aho, oh. Rasika, those who are in full knowledge of mellows. Bhuvi, on the earth. Bhavuka, expert and thoughtful men. Translation purport by Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. O expert and thoughtful men, relish Srimad Bhagavatam, the mature fruit of the desire tree of Vedic literatures. It emanated from the lips of Srila Shukadev Goswami. Therefore, this fruit has become even more tasteful, although its nectarian juice was already relishable for all, including liberated souls. O expert and thoughtful men, relish Srimad Bhagavatam, the mature fruit of the desire tree of Vedic literatures. It emanated from the lips of Sri Shukadev Goswami. Therefore, this fruit has become even more tasteful, although its nectarian juice was already relishable for all, including liberated souls. Purport. In the two previous shlokas, it was definitely proved that Srimad Bhagavatam is a sublime literature which surpasses all the other Vedic scriptures due to its transcendental qualities. It is transcendental to all mundane activities and mundane knowledge. In this shloka, it is stated that Srimad Bhagavatam is not only a superior literature, but is the ripened fruit of all Vedic literatures. In other words, it is the cream of all Vedic knowledge. Considering all this, patient and submissive hearing is definitely essential. With great respect and attention, one should receive the message and lessons imparted by the Srimad Bhagavatam. The Vedas are compared to the desire tree because they contain all things knowable by man. They deal with mundane necessities as well as spiritual realization. The Vedas contain regulated principles of knowledge covering social, political, religious, economic, military, medicinal, chemical, physical, and metaphysical subject matter, and all that may be necessary to keep the body and soul together. Above and beyond all this are specific directions for spiritual realization. Regulative knowledge involves a gradual raising of the living entity to the spiritual platform. And the highest spiritual realization is knowledge that the personality of Godhead is the reservoir of all spiritual tastes or rasas. Every living entity, beginning from Brahma, the firstborn living being within the material world, down to the insignificant ant, desires to relish some sort of taste derived from sense perceptions. These sensual perceptions are technically called rasas. Such rasas are of different varieties. In the revealed scriptures, the following 12 varieties of rasas are enumerated. 1. Rodra, anger. 2. Adbhuta, wonder. 3. Shingara, conjugal love. 4. Hasya, comedy. 5. Vira, chivalry. 6. Daya, mercy. 7. Dasya, servitorship. 8. Sakya, fraternity. 9. Bhayanaka, horror. 10. Vibhatsa, shock. 11. Shanta, neutrality. 12. Vatsalya, parenthood. The sum total of all these rasas is called affection or love. Primarily, such signs of love are manifested in adoration, service, friendship, parental affection, and conjugal love. And when these five are absent, love is present indirectly in anger, wonder, comedy, chivalry, fear, shock, and so on. For example, when a man is in love with a woman, the rasa is called conjugal love. But when such love affairs are disturbed, there may be wonder, anger, shock, or even horror. Sometimes love affairs between two persons culminate in ghastly murder scenes. Such rasas are displayed between man and between animal and animal. There is no possibility of an exchange of rasa between a man and an animal, or between a man and any other species of living beings within the material world. The rasas are exchanged between members of the same species. But as far as the spirit souls are concerned, they are one qualitatively with the Supreme Lord. Therefore, the rasas were originally exchanged between the spiritual living being and the spiritual whole, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The spiritual exchange or rasa is fully exhibited in spiritual existence between living beings and the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is therefore described in the Shruti mantras, Vedic hymns, as the fountainhead of all rasas. When one associates with the Supreme Lord and exchanges one's constitutional rasa with the Lord, then the living being is actually happy. These Shruti mantras indicate that every living being has its constitutional position, which is endowed with a particular type of rasa to be exchanged with the personality of Godhead. In the liberated condition only, this primary rasa is experienced in full. In the material existence, the rasa is experienced in the perverted form, which is temporary. And thus the rasas of the material world are exhibited in the material form of Raudra, anger, and so on. Therefore, one who attains full knowledge of these different rasas, which are the basic principles of activities, can understand the false representations of the original rasas, which are reflected in the material world. The learned scholar seeks to relish the real rasa in the spiritual form. In the beginning, he desires to become one with the Supreme. Thus, less intelligent transcendentalists cannot go beyond this conception of becoming one with the spirit whole without knowing of the different rasas. In this shloka, it is definitely stated that spiritual rasa, which is relished even in the liberated stage, can be experienced in the literature of the Srimad Bhagavatam, due to its being the ripened fruit of all Vedic knowledge. By submissively hearing this transcendental literature, one can attain the full pleasure of his heart's desire. But one must be very careful to hear the message from the right source. Srimad Bhagavatam is exactly received from the right source. It was brought by Narad Muni from the spiritual world and given to his disciple Sri Vyasadeva. The latter in turn delivered the message to his son Shrila Shukadeva Goswami. And Srila Shukadeva Goswami delivered the message to Maharaj Parikshit just 7 days before the king's death. Srila Shukadeva Goswami was a liberated soul from his very birth. He was liberated even in the womb of his mother, and he did not undergo any sort of spiritual training after his birth. At birth, no one is qualified, neither in the mundane nor in the spiritual sense. But Sri Shukadeva Goswami, due to his being a perfectly liberated soul, did not have to undergo any evolutionary process for spiritual realization. Yet despite his being a completely liberated person, situated in the transcendental position above the three material modes, he was attracted to the transcendental rasa of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is adored by liberated souls who sing Vedic hymns. The Supreme Lord's pastimes are more attractive to liberated souls than to mundane people. He is of necessity not impersonal, because it is only possible to carry on transcendental rasa with a person. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, the transcendental pastimes of the Lord are narrated, and the narration is systematically depicted by Srila Shukadeva Goswami. Thus, the subject matter is appealing to all classes of persons, including those who seek liberation and those who seek to become one with the Supreme Whole. In Sanskrit, the parrot is also known as shukha. When a ripened fruit is cut by the red beaks of such birds, its sweet flavor is enhanced. The Vedic fruit, which is mature and ripe in knowledge, is spoken through the lips of Srila Shukadeva Goswami, who is compared to the parrot, not for his ability to recite the Bhagavatam exactly as he heard it from his learned father, but for his ability to present the work in a manner that would appeal to all classes of men. The subject matter is so presented through the lips of Srila Shukadeva Goswami that any sincere listener that hears submissively can at once relish transcendental tastes which are distinct from the perverted tastes of the material world. The ripened fruit is not dropped all of a sudden from the highest planet of Krishna Loka. Rather, it has come down carefully through the chain of disciplic succession without change or disturbance. Foolish people who are not in the transcendental disciplic succession commit great blunders by trying to understand the highest transcendental rasa, known as the rasa dance, without following in the footsteps of Shukadeva Goswami, who presents this fruit very carefully by stages of transcendental realization. One should be intelligent enough to know the position of Srimad Bhagavatam by considering the personalities like Shukadeva Goswami, who deals with the subject so carefully. This process of disciplic succession of the Bhagavata school suggests that in the future also Srimad Bhagavatam has to be understood from a person who is factually a representative of Srila Shukadeva Goswami. A professional man who makes a business out of reciting Bhagavatam illegally is certainly not a representative of Shukadeva Goswami. Such a man's business is only to go to the most confidential part of the literature without undergoing the gradual process. Such a man's business is only to earn his livelihood. Therefore, one should refrain from hearing the lectures of such professional men. Such men usually go to the most confidential part of the literature without understanding the gradual process of understanding this grave subject. They usually plunge into the subject matter of the rasa dance, which is misunderstood by the foolish classes of men. Some of them take this to be immoral, while others try to cover it up by their own stupid interpretations. They have no desire to follow in the footsteps of Srila Shukadeva Goswami. One should conclude, therefore, that the serious student of the rasa should receive the message of Bhagavatam in the chain of disciplic succession from Srila Shukadeva Goswami, who describes the Bhagavatam from its very beginning and not whimsically to satisfy the mundaner who has very little knowledge in transcendental science. Srimad Bhagavatam is so carefully presented that a sincere and serious person can at once enjoy the ripened fruit of Vedic knowledge simply by drinking the nectarian juice through the mouth of Shukadeva Goswami or his bona fide representative. Om Jnanam Timarandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadahmayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitangsha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanustute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Thank you everyone for joining. This is a very wonderful, very nice verse. And when thinking about the glorification of Srimad Bhagavatam, then I always think of this verse because it's interesting. Yesterday, Maharaj in his class in the evening was talking about the cave at Badrinath. There's a cave there in Badrinath where Vyasadeva wrote the Srimad Bhagavatam. And uh, I don't remember how long ago it was, but maybe 10 years ago, around that time, when I visited that cave, then there was a man sitting in the cave, the priest. There's always a pandit for every place, so there's no murti there or anything, just a cave, but he's sitting there. It's a place of pilgrimage, and as the pilgrims come, he's there. And this sadhu, he's sitting there, and it's almost at that time, I don't know if he's still there or not, but it was almost like he was hypnotized by this verse. He was hypnotized by the place. You could feel the power of that cave, of that holy place. And when we went in and we were there for like maybe 15, 20 minutes, half an hour, something like that, he was just again and again reciting the two lines of this verse. Not even the whole verse. He was just saying, Nigamakal pataror, galitam phalam, shukad mukhad, amrita dravya samyutam, pibata bhagavatam rasamalyam, muharaho rasika bhuvi bhavaka. And again, he was just reciting this verse. You could see he was like in ecstasy, like in a half ecstasy. And that is the power of the Bhagavatam. This whole purport, it's so amazing that the whole purport is about rasa. The translation also is saying, Nigama kalpataror galitam phalam, that this is a fruit. And from a fruit, what do you get? You get juice. From a fruit, you get rasa. This is the ultimate fruit, the ultimate rasa, sweet as nectar. And wherever you bite it from, you get this juicy, sweet nectar. Actually, before the invention of sugar, sweet meant fruits. It meant, sweetness that comes naturally from fruits and, other, types of vegetables, also sweet potato, things like that. So this, mangoes, they are very, very sweet. So this is the mature fruit, the ripened fruit of all Vedic knowledge. And so Prabhupada in the purport, throughout the purport, is talking about rasa, that how one does not read the Bhagavatam, one does not study the Bhagavatam, but one drinks the Bhagavatam. Right? And this is why many of us, we don't like to study and read. Many people are not of the Brahmanical nature. They may be Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras. They're not book people. They don't like reading. And especially, in book distribution, many people, they say, I don't read books. I don't like to read. But then we know, and we have experienced, and we have to convince them also that no, that this is not a book that is read. This is a book that is drunk. That this book is different. You don't like to read other books, but this book you will like to read. Because the fact is that regardless of one's nature, one may be a Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, everyone who has taste likes to read and hear Srimad Bhagavatam. So normally only a Brahmana boy or girl or only a Brahmana person will like to read books based on their nature. But Srimad Bhagavatam is beyond nature because it's beyond the gunas, it's beyond the ashramas, it's beyond the varnas. It's transcendental. It's just like the holy name, right? It doesn't matter if you're Shudra, Vaishya, Kshatriya. Everyone who has some taste, who is a devotee, who knows their true benefit, who knows their true self-interest, will take the holy name and relish it. The same is with the Srimad Bhagavatam. Ganapati Maharaj said that Srila Prabhupada said that every verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam is non-different than the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So this is a taste. It is rasa. By chanting this, we are chanting Krishna's holy names. Every verse is non-different than the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Right? Every verse is filled with this rasa. So the more one experiences it, the more one reads it, the more one becomes hypnotized by it. The more one becomes ecstatic, feels bliss, a taste by reading it. And on Janmashtami Day, a news reporter interviewed Maharaj. They took the microphone to him, and they're from Asia TV, and they said, "So, what's your advice for the youth and for this?" Like the typical questions they ask. And then Maharaj said, Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah, I'll speak about that because he said, because I love Srimad Bhagavatam. So the news reporter who, it'll be televised to like all these people, who are not devotees. Obviously, in devotees, one would say, but even to new people, Maharaj is saying, I love Srimad Bhagavatam. So what is it? The knowledge is there. The knowledge he knows. He's studying it so many years, but why reading it again and again? Why this special attraction to this literature? For liberated souls, fine, for us it's needed, but why for them? Because they are not reading it for the knowledge. They are tasting it. They are relishing the Srimad Bhagavatam. And the reason why this verse is so important is for ourselves. If we read it in that way, if we relish Srimad Bhagavatam, if we don't read it but relish it, then we will be able to read every day and feel that it's not a burden. Then we will be able to actually take advantage of it, because it won't be work. It will be something that we relish, the different pastimes that we like, the different passages. Prabhupada here is saying that if we read Srimad Bhagavatam and hear it from the right source, from a pure devotee of the Lord, like Shukadeva Goswami, in the disciplic succession, through the disciplic succession, if we hear and read the Srimad Bhagavatam, and we study it carefully, then we will be able to taste this nectar. So this book is about rasa, therefore it is the ripened fruit of Vedic knowledge. The rest of the Vedas are the trees, the branches. That is not rasa. The fruit is rasa, right? So this book is about rasa. And this is why the culmination of the Bhagavatam is the 10th canto. It's the Rasa Lila, right? Rasa Lila, the highest rasa. The highest rasa is in the Rasa Lila. So Prabhupada here is saying that we have to work ourselves up to that. We can't immediately go to that level and start to read it. We must gradually, step by step, come to that platform. But on the way, it will also just be rasa. And if we study the Bhagavatam very objectively, it is indeed a fact that the Bhagavatam is concerned about the feeling and the relationship between the Lord and his devotees. And therefore, it's the highest literature. In fact, I was just reading a quote or hearing a quote of Srila Prabhupada where he says that Bhagavatam is the highest literature because it describes the feelings of affection between the Lord and his devotees. He specifically mentioned its subject matter is the feelings, is the rasa, the exchange of love. And you see that this is the Bhagavatam's approach. This is what makes the Bhagavatam. Like Ramayana, for example, 9th canto. It has a whole Ramayana there. The Ramayana is described in the Bhagavatam. But the entire battle, everything, all that is done in a few verses. And what's the whole majority Bhagavatam, Ramayana in the Bhagavatam? It's all about the separation, the feelings of separation that Lord Ram was feeling from Sita, and that Sita was experiencing from Ram, and that Hanuman was experiencing, love that he was experiencing for Lord Ram. It's just about the inner life, of the devotees. And this is something that people have noted. Like you'll read Ramayana somewhere else, it's about the events. What's the event? Or you'll read Lord Nrsingadev's story, Prahlad and Nrsinga. That pastime is in so many literatures. It's one of the oldest narrations. You find it in the Harivansa, in so many other Puranas, in even some Vedic texts. You find it all over the place. The Srimad Bhagavatam also describes it. But what does it focus on? It focuses on Prahlad. You see, the whole Nrsinga section, and we think it's well, that's the way it is, but that's because we read the Bhagavatam's narration of it. We assume that that's how it should be. But no, the Bhagavatam spends like 3 or 4 chapters. It says Prahlad, the exalted devotee of the Lord. Teachings of Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad, there's 2 chapters. One is, Prahlad instructs his demoniac schoolmates. Prahlad, the exalted devotee of the Lord. And then finally, the prayers of Prahlad Maharaj. It's like the whole focus is on the devotee. And what Prahlad Maharaj was feeling when he was being tormented by demons, by his father, how was he taking shelter of Krishna? How was he taking complete shelter of Krishna and surrendering himself to him? What was he feeling? What was his mood? That's what's interesting to the Bhagavatam. What the events were is not so important. Events come and go, they change, and okay, it's nice historical information. But what does it mean for us? What is the feeling of the devotee? That is what the Bhagavatam relishes. And because it's a book of rasa, one can enter into that rasa, one can taste that rasa. In fact, every psychological situation, Prabhupada says in the purport to one of the verses, I believe in the 2nd chapter, he says, every psychological situation can be understood and overcome by reading the Srimad Bhagavatam. Every psychological situation is present in the Bhagavatam. And it's given us the method to overcome it. Number 1. Number 2 point is that any distress in this world, any sorrow in this world can be overcome by this literature, Srimad Bhagavatam. Because through these narrations of like Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj, of Prithu Maharaj, of Vritasura and Indra, of all of Krishna's Leelas, they're giving us the method, the pathway to overcome everything through the strength of bhakti. It's Bhagavatam is a book of devotional heroism through the strength of bhakti. So this is the sum and substance, I think, of this verse. I will stop here and see if there's any quick questions or comments, and then we'll end because I'm a little over. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you so much. I know I remember you spoke on the same verse last time when we had a couple of years ago. Yeah, it's very nice verse. So I was, couple of things, Prabhu. One is actually in the purport Prabhupada was telling, this literature, in this, here is that. It is definitely stated that the spiritual rasa which is released even in the liberated stage can be experienced in the literature of Srimad Bhagavatam due to its being ripened fruit of Vedic knowledge. Only thing one has to is that one has to hear by submissively hearing this transcendental literature, one can attain the full pleasure of his heart's desire. But only one must hear carefully from the authorized sources. How I was thinking, there are so many Vedic literatures are available, right? That Vyasadeva has compiled. So, most of them may be philosophical, right? There are Puranas, but
Yes.
Bhagavatam has all, even philosophy it has, right? I think more complex than most of the things. So, but it has so sweet. It's taking all the way to 10th canto, of course, by gradually a person, a sincere reader. Of course, one has to understand the greatness of the Lord to understand the rasas. Otherwise, one may mistake. But yeah, it's taking all the way to the 10th canto. But throughout the process, there are a lot of pastimes. You talked about Prahlad Maharaj. A lot of rasas that are given. So I was just thinking one other point, Prabhu, you mentioned about, I think Prabhupada mentioned and you quoted, all kinds of relationship or psychological situations are given in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So I
Yes.
think I was hearing from Radhikaraman Prabhu once, he was talking about any kind of problem or any kind of relationship issues that one can see in this material world, a husband, wife, father, son, daughter, father, son,
Yes.
spiritual master, even disciple. So every kind of situation, what kind of mistakes they made and how to overcome it, not just the mistakes.
Yes.
in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So it
Yes.
is totally true.
Yeah, no, in fact, that's our only shelter. When things get really bad in life, then then it's, it gets bad for everyone and it's going to get bad. But the only difference is that the devotees have the Bhagavatam as their companion and they get immense strength from it, and the non-devotees do not. I mean, that's really what it is. The Bhagavatam is so wonderful that it really becomes a companion. And you see devotees like that. Like there's one devotee, very senior, like she was very kind of served so many years in the movement, and then life somehow changed for her, and then uh, she um, she separated from her husband and everything. And then she was literally just left in a car, and she was traveling from one place to the other. This was when I was living in Boise, and she came to Boise, and um, she was traveling, and you could see her constant companion was the Srimad Bhagavatam. She was just reading the Bhagavatam and gaining so much strength from it. It gives so much strength. That's the thing. It's like eating fruits gives us so much vitamins, right? Energy, strength. So Bhagavatam is like that. It's like it it gives us the strength by which to pass through every type of relationship situation, as you were mentioning. So it may not exactly spell out, like a counseling book, spell out, well, this is what you're supposed to say, and that's not what you're supposed to say. Although it even does that to some degree, like you see Daksh and Sati and all these things, like through the example and character of these great souls. But it really does tell us how we can approach every situation, with what mindset, with what strength, with what courage we can approach every situation. And there's no replacement to reading it. Like just a few days ago, I haven't been so good about attending classes, right? Bhagavatam morning Zoom classes, and I was struggling with something and in my mind, and then I opened the Zoom call. So happened, not thinking about what I was struggling, not because I was struggling with something, but just open it because I had a little time and I thought, well, I was, doing something I can hear. And that verse of the Bhagavatam that was being read was exactly what I needed to hear. Like it was exactly what I needed to hear. And this happened twice recently. And for all of you, I'm sure it also happens every day. Like you're thinking about something, you have a question about something, and you open the Bhagavatam and you find it there. And this is why daily reading of the Srimad Bhagavatam is such a important thing, because actually daily, every day, the Bhagavatam we will read what we need to know that day, and it will be revealed to us in that verse. If we really need to hear something, it'll come through the Bhagavatam, if we're dedicated to Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, to the daily reading and recitation and hearing of the Srimad Bhagavatam. We will actually receive the guidance for the day. Our questions will be answered for the day. My Guru Maharaj used to say that 40% of your morning program is the Srimad Bhagavatam class. So everything else 60%. So we have 100% morning program because it's so important. Prabhupada like put it right in the middle, right? Keep it focus right in the middle. So yeah, well, it gives a lot of strength.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Yeah, Srimad Bhagavatam is a person, right? So directly answers us. If thank you
Yes,
for sharing that.
thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. This is
Hare
Prabhuji, very nice lecture. Just I understand the importance of Srimad Bhagavatam, but how we convince our kids to means in a because they want practical. If we say philosophical, they're not able to understand. So how we make them understand, Prabhuji?
Yeah, I mean, uh, I you know that's the thing. It's it's a catch 22. In order to like the Srimad Bhagavatam, you have to relish it, you have to read it. But in order to relish it, you have to like it, right? And so how do you get them in that circuit? That's the thing.
Right,
In
right.
that circuit. And then once they're in the circuit, then they relish it. Um, some practical things are like maybe, starting with reading with them certain stories that are very relishable to them. Like in the beginning, we don't have a taste to just go from beginning to end. It's like a big book. Okay, now creation, now destruction, now the elements, now the hellish planets. It's like some parts of the Bhagavatam are not initially relishable, like we relish them now. You know, you,
Mhm.
I, others, all these, we will like them, but the youth will not. So choosing the sections that they like the teachings of Prahlad Maharaj, they're so hard hitting. And everyone suffers. You know, children suffer, youth suffer, old people suffer, everyone suffers. So at a time when they're struggling with something, let's say their friends are being mean to them at school, they're excluding them, this, that, then having them read Dhruva Maharaj's story, how he overcomes it. Like if they see the value in it, then they then they and if they relish it, right? Somehow getting them to relish it, to appreciate it, that's the key. But Bhagavata is two things, right? It's the book and it's the devotee. So really to get our children to really relish it, and it's very timely, this question of yours, is to somehow get them attached to advanced devotees, right? So like S.B. Keshav Maharaj is coming, and
Mhm.
youth become very attracted by him, and then they start to listen to him, and then they become attracted to Bhagavatam. So almost in some ways, the person Bhagavatam comes first before the book Bhagavatam.
Okay.
The attraction to the person leads them to the book. So, and that takes some courage on the side of the parents, like like Queen Suniti, she tells Dhruva, go to the forest, there you will find the Lord, right? He has a problem, and he's telling them. So, exposing our children, kind of, making them, uh, uh, giving them the time, so to say, to submerge themselves. Like there was an example of this, the parents in Radha Desh. Um, Hriday Chaitanya Prabhu was the temple president there for like 30 years. Amazing devotee, like amazing person. He's now GBC. Like he's so good that then the GBC wanted him to serve as a GBC member. And but his kids, he had two children. They were like not into Krishna consciousness at all. They'd grown up in like a perfect place, Radha Desh, but then they kind of revolted, and they had some bad experiences also in ISKCON, this, that. And so then he didn't know what to do. It came to the point where they wouldn't even, even come inside the temple. And so then one time he just convinced them, let's go to Mayapur.
Mhm.
And he had them do the Bhakti Shastri in Mayapur. And because it was Mayapur and it was something so cool, like, there's a river Ganges there in Mayapur. Somehow his kids, they liked Mayapur and they agreed to it. They did the Bhakti Shastri there, and he was telling us this. After that, they came back completely transformed. I mean,
Oh.
it's just day and night. Before they were like wearing black jeans and all these things. And when they came back with Shikha Tilak. They were up for Mangalartik every day. It was just like amazing. And he said it was just
Mhm.
Mayapur and the association and Bhakti Shastri. They got a taste and it just flowered in their heart. But he had to kind of give them a submersion, like it wasn't going to happen in Radhadesh. He tried everything. He took them to Mayapur, and they just they it somehow caught on. Similarly, some devotees, they'll send their children to travel with a sannyasi. If it's a boy, go and just
Mhm.
6 months or 3 months travel, because also they have to sometimes get it from people outside the family. So then they don't feel the pressure of the family. They just think, oh, this is something that I want to do. So it's a traveling with sannyasis. So they have to get attached to the person Bhagavata.
Okay.
There was this youth, they were traveling with Romapad Maharaj. I realized that they're traveling before, they're from, I think, the New Jersey area. And then last time they came for the retreat, and I noticed like both of them were doing so well spiritually. Like whatever problems were there before,
Mhm.
they were just like really inspired. We also did that. We would travel with Ganapati Swami. And I traveled with my Guru Maharaj a lot. That
Mhm.
was really, it made a big impression. Another one was Braj Mandal Parikrama, because it's like a
Mhm.
camping trip. It's a camping trip, and you go and you sleep in tents and all these things. And they had such a
Mhm.
big impression in my life. Like, Braj Mandal Parikrama is the most wonderful
Mhm.
thing. Of course, you have yatras like that. So this is a very uh, uh, letting them get that time, like Mormons. We don't have to do that, but Mormons, they have their kids take 2 years off of college. Like they will actually skip 2 years of education and they just go and they join the mission. And the Mormon youth are known to be the most fixed up youth in any religious tradition, literally in the world. And that's because as a community, they've decided that the kids are going to take 2 years off from their education and submerge themselves in their spiritual life, and then they get a taste for it. The problem is that we don't have the time. Like we don't want to take that time off. So then there's no time for that submersion. So these are some techniques.
Got it.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Babji. It's really helpful. So Bhagavata is very important. Yes, then Bhagavatam comes. Yes.
Yes, it's especially for young people, it's very much association and seeking out high quality association. See, association is of many types, and sometimes mixed association can even be a little more dangerous than no association, or less association, but good association. Because in association in which it's not completely, it's like the focus is not clear, then what happens, just many devotees have observed, not just my observation, is that we take the process lightly. Like, it's just like we almost think we almost make fun of it. It's almost like, well, it's something like a joke, like the we take it for granted. We don't actually take shelter of it.
Right.
And then we feel satisfied or comfortable in a middle strata. Like, I'm a devotee, but I'm a light devotee. I'm a devotee and I do my thing. And then we can be stuck there, like yogis who are stuck in Brahma Jyoti, or the heavenly planet. Yes, we go to heavenly planet and we get stuck there. Oh, it's so beautiful, Indra Loka. We're very pious, we're very nice, we're very devotional. So like we're devotional over in general, but we're stuck there.
Yeah, that's very practical. From Jyoti, don't want.
Yes, I'm cool. I'm fine where I'm at.
Yeah, it makes sense. Thank you, Babji.
Thank you.
Gopal, I had a question.
Krishna Prabhu. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. But before asking, I just wanted to add on to what you just said about the book. One experience I also personally had was when I was young, I had this big challenge of just seeing the Bhagavatam size, just taking it up was a big challenge. So was with Chaitanya Charitamrita or something. So one thing that actually helped me was just the story narrations that Purna Prajna Prabhu did, and I think also with Bhagavata there is like the Bhagavata Pravaha, and then so many other devotees just wrote the kind of rendered Bhagavatam just in the story form. That was also one helpful thing for me personally, where like just to overcome the challenge of
Yes, you're right.
of that foreign item. Oh, Bhagavatam is so huge. Of like once you kind of know the flow, especially like many devotees have this challenge of just overcoming the second canto. But when you know the like what follows in the second canto, there is something for you to look forward to. So that story form kind of helped me personally.
That's a wonderful suggestion, bro. Very nice idea. Very nice suggestion to read through the stories. And one can use books like Purna Pragya Prabhu's books, or one can do it. It's a big book, but one can do it directly from Prabhupada's Bhagavatam also by reading the translations of the story sections, right? Like you're saying.
Yeah. So the question was, there was a statement that Prabhupada made that rasa is not possible between human and animal. But we sometimes see that even in the Vedic paradigm, there was this strong connection that was there between mother cow and the human form, where like many times we kind of have seen families where they strongly feel like the cow that they have in the home as like their own mother. So how do you like? I was not able to kind of draw parallel between both of those.
Yes, no, you are right, actually. That's a very good point that you bring up. My understanding is that maybe what Srila Prabhupada means is like, for example, a female cow will not be attracted to a man.
Ah.
Or a deer will not be attracted to a man.
Mm.
So there is a relationship there. Like there's definitely a relationship there of some love. There's a reciprocation there. But it's not really a rasa, because it's not, like that's why that is what is special about Krishna and transcendental things, is that the rasa is on the level of the soul. Because Krishna book Bhagavatam, it says that when Krishna plays his flute, or even when Krishna would walk down the path in Vrindavan, then not just the human beings, but even the beasts and the birds would be attracted by his beauty. Even the rivers would stop flowing when Krishna would play his flute. No matter how good the music is, no animal or plant or anything becomes attracted. They sometimes stop, or they'll be affected by certain sound vibrations, but they're not attracted by it in a way that a human being is. Similarly, no matter what we do, we're not just impressed by a beaver's dam. It's like we don't we cannot connect with it. So human can also not connect in that way that beavers can connect with other beavers.
Okay.
Yes. So I think he means rasa in a deeper sense. That's more like kind of a relationship. It may even have some love. Like, for example, I'm working and I have a business relationship with my colleagues, and over the years, like, you have genuine feeling, start caring for the company and all these things, but it's not really a deep rasa.
Yeah, got it. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu.
But this is my kind of speculation of it. There could be a more better answer to this, and maybe it's a good question for like Maharaj or someone.
Yeah. It answers me, so it's a good answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Okay, I think this is a good point to stop. One good news I just want to share. I'm going to post it also, that His Holiness S.P. Keshav Maharaj will be coming for the Vyas Puja this evening from 5 to 6, he said. So we'll have a very special, even more special program now tonight. And so you'll be looking forward to your association this evening. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna. Thank you.
Krishna Mataji. Hare Krishna Prabhu.